Astro apps. Wow.
Welcome to Teachable Podcast. We focus on providing simple solutions in the classroom. I am blessed to have DJ Kelly J with the brother man right now. How you doing today? What's up?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
Hey, thank you so much for blessing me on the podcast. What's up? How you doing today?
I am good. I'm good. We're getting a little bit of sun right now before it goes down, so it's all
Absolutely.
good.
And if you're on the East Coast or Midwest, we know it's dark, so we know that she's obviously somewhere else. She's currently stationed in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yep.
Yep, where she is the just the social media coordinator for KEP Power 88. She's a DJ, a master DJ. She's one of the four elements of hip hop, which I think is the most important, but that's another story. She controls frequency. She can tell you what a frequency is. She probably sees colors when she's DJing. All that
Yeah.
cool stuff that you musicians do, she definitely can do that and still be herself. I love it. If the party's whack, she has the control to just turn it up. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. How you doing today, Miss Kelly?
I am good. Thank you for the introduction, Calvin.
You deserve it. You deserve it. Absolutely.
Thank you again for having me. Like it was really dope just connecting with you and seeing how much you're doing in the city. So thank you for real.
Well, absolutely. There's a lot of knowledge going on in these spaces that we're on, Clubhouse, social media. Let's streamline it to some people that need it. So let's talk about it. So in the Teachable Podcast, we always try to start off with like a teacher tip of the week, and you don't have to be an expert at being a teacher, but you did have teachers before, and I kind of want you to give a tip based off of just what you know. Okay, so I'm gonna give you some data, and then I want you to give your tip. Okay. So currently, right now, 40% of teachers are saying that they don't want to return to the classroom. 1% of teachers are African American males. 70% of teachers are majority white females. And nothing's wrong with that. But what's happening is that a lack of culture, especially doing racism, especially doing George Floyd, especially doing everything that's happening, especially what just happened yesterday. A lot of things have just been, just killing people's spirits, and teachers' spirits have just been abused and used. We have teachers that are catching COVID because they're teaching kids that are asymptomatic. We have teachers that are just retiring because they don't believe that the policies that are put in place that are going to protect them, so they can protect the future's minds, so we can have better leaders. Knowing all of that, I'll give my tip, and I want to definitely hear from you. But teachers, you got to be your self advocate. You got to speak up for yourself. The biggest thing you have are numbers. So speak up. And the situation might not change, unfortunately, because that's how the world works. The world's unfair. But that speaking up, that self advocacy, you will feel better. You will feel less stress. You will feel like you're not being used and abused. Speak up. And then other people that speak up, you might actually change some stuff. What about you, Ms. Kelly? Some advice you got to give to some teachers?
I would honestly, the advice that I would have would be to the parents, and that's just to be a little bit more involved and communicate more with the teachers. Like, teachers are already underpaid. As a society, they're undervalued, and our kids are with them the majority of the day. They spend a big chunk of their lives in school, and for parents to kind of just completely disconnect, even though I understand the need to, parents can't completely disconnect, and they need to work with the teachers. They need to communicate with the teachers to not only alleviate some of that stress that the teachers are going through, but to make sure that their children are getting the education that they're expecting them to get. Like, it can't just completely be on the teachers to do that. And I think society's kind of just driving the parents further and further away from education, and the parents are just like, here, okay, this is your turn type of thing, and it's not supposed to be like that.
Absolutely, right? It's like you're just giving someone, literally parents had to become educators, right? Y'all literally had to become teachers within a matter of 1 or 2 weeks, because that literally just happened. Could you maybe talk about that? And then I want to just talk about what's it like being a DJ during COVID. What has that plight, as being homeschooling? What has that plight been like?
Well, so my daughter's 2. She's actually back there. My daughter's 2. She turns 3 in February, and honestly, like I always planned on homeschooling my daughter. Like that's what I'm doing. So, and it's nothing against teachers, but it's because I know that our schools are already overcrowded. I know that they're not getting paid enough. So I think if a parent can and is willing to homeschool their child, just to try to even some of this, even some of the numbers out, and like, if they can do it, then they should. And I just took it upon myself to try. So her schedule is actually the same as it's been, but I think COVID happened at an interesting time, and a lot of parents are seeing really what it takes for our kids to learn and for them to progress. And now I'm hoping that when things go back to normal, or when the new normal is defined, that teachers get the value and the credit and the pay that they deserve.
Man, that feels so good just hearing that from a parent. And thank you so much. We really appreciate that. Thank you. So one thing we like to do, and I'm sure you know, is we like to give like call-in responses during T Simple podcast, or we like to just give affirmations during T Simple podcast. So whenever you say something that's thought-provoking, whenever you do something that's, just like, oh my gosh, we like to give praise. So first one is a snap, golf clap, and then raise the roof. So to raise the roof is like, if you say something that's like, okay, then you can raise the roof, right? Hey, that's how I talk to my kids. I'd be like, all right, we raising the roof, y'all. Then you raise the roof with me with the cameras off.
Bringing it back. I love it.
Yeah. So let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about it. So you are a DJ. You are part of the 4 elements of hip hop. You are literally a box of that. This whole thing that we love so much, that we love so much, right? Music. So you did hip hop, top 40, EDM, house, R&B, reggae. You are a master. You are on boards. If a DJ were to pop up for 2021, your picture would show up. So what's it like being a DJ during COVID, and why DJing?
Oh, during COVID, I think a lot of creatives in general were reminded of their passion, or reminded of why they started, because everybody, from the DJ to the artists to the dancers to the painters to any creative in general, had to really sit there and say, do I still want to do this, knowing that I'm not going to make what I used to make, or knowing that things won't be the same, and I won't have that human interaction. And we need human interaction. Like, most DJs need human interaction. Like, it's how we work. We read people, and we see people, and we figure out, okay, if I play this song, they'll do this. If I play this song, they'll go to the bar. So it's like, not, radio's a little different, but it's like not having that human interaction. We're like, okay, do I even still want to do this? Like, is it still in my heart to do this? And I was reminded of that. Like, I took a very short break when the lockdowns happened, and it was probably like 2.5 weeks where I didn't do anything. I just reset my mind. I did some yoga, played with my daughter, and then it was like, okay, yeah, I still want to do this. It's go time. It's grind time. So I went back into how I started, and it made me around that time that the lockdowns happened, it made me go back to listening to local artists, because the Las Vegas scene is why I started DJing. So Detroit radio, WJLB specifically, was in my heart my entire childhood. Like, I was a heavy listener. I listened to the morning show all the time. I personally know Bushman, and I actually just found out, I just reached out to gosh, what's his name? I can't remember his name, but like Coco and Foolish, like I listened to them growing up. And Big Tigger, that's who it was. Big Tigger's a core DJ, and I'm a core DJ. So it's, you know, it's full circle for me. It's full circle for me. Um, but yeah, so that was in my heart. But the Las Vegas hip hop culture and wanting to push the artists out here is what got me into DJing. Like I had an internship out here in Las Vegas right out of high school before I started nursing school, and that internship brought everything back. So I'm thinking about WJLB, and I'm thinking about these local artists, and I was like, yeah, what can I do to help them? What can I do to make people feel good? What can I do to kind of to bring back those memories I had in Detroit and help these artists out here in Las Vegas? And I was like, yeah, I want to be a DJ. So I've been DJing ever since. It's been 12 years now. This is actually the 13th year. So 2021 will be my 13th year as a DJ. But that's how it started.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it sounds like you're not only a music advocate, it sounds like you're like a social and like political advocate as well, for like wanting to inspire, you know, wanting to create change and be a change agent in a place that doesn't have as much culture. Like you said at Las Vegas, you said the music scene in combination with Detroit motivated you to become a DJ. Could you maybe also talk about some more of those motivations, maybe some memories in Detroit, or maybe like what specifically in Las Vegas? What was it? A song that was it like a person that kind of sparked that interest and you went out flying? What was that specifically?
For radio specifically, and I still think of the parodies. The morning show with Coco and Foolish, they did so many parodies, like, and they redid popular songs, and they just made it so funny. Like, I still remember a couple of them, and it got me through to a lot of tough times. I didn't have like a rough childhood, but it wasn't, you know, I had an interesting childhood. Yeah. So like listening to the radio and hearing those parodies, like hearing how creative they were to remake this song, not only into something that lyrically told a story, but something that was hilarious. Like, I was like, this is so dope. And I think about that every time I think about radio. So when I got into the internship, and I'm kind of just like really seeing the on their personalities, and just trying to figure out like what is missing. I saw that was missing. And I don't think like parodies are just like funny things. I feel like it's medicine. I always think that laughter is medicine. So to be able to connect music and comedy, you know, that's super creative, and it's something that was missing. And it made me dig deeper into radio. It made me figure out like what else was missing, and then that's what got into like the local artists not being able to get their music on the radio. And I kind of saw it. I saw it in Detroit. Like, I saw the local artists getting a little bit more support, and I saw the culture a little bit more tightly knit. So like when I saw that was also missing out here, I was like, okay, yeah, I definitely want to be a DJ. This is what I want to do. So that was it for the most part.
Wow. So how did you go from Detroit to Nevada?
Ooh, that's a good story. It's not that long. So my uncle, and I have a pretty large family. So one of my uncles moved to Las Vegas when I was 6, and he was basically like my father figure. Like he was the only father figure I really had. Like, even having a large family, like that was the one that I was around a lot. So, and that was the one that my mother was the closest to. So when he moved out here, it just really raised the option for my mom to consider moving. And we eventually moved out here when I was 13. And it was super funny because like my mom my mom was just like, initially she was like, yeah, we're gonna go to Vegas, we're gonna go on a little vacation and see what it's like. And I was like, okay. So we came out here when I was 13, and like it's heading towards August, and I'm like, so like, mom, when are we going back to Detroit? Like, we've been there for a couple months. She's like, we're not leaving. I was like, wait, huh? Like,
how old were you?
I was 13.
Okay, so you pretty much grew up there, like your adolescence.
Yep. So I'm 30 now. So now it's about 13 years in Detroit and 17 years in Vegas. I went to high school and college in Vegas. So, and my entire DJ career is Vegas.
Yeah, so that kind of happened with me, but mine was more like a tragedy because I'm originally from New Orleans, and when
Oh,
Katrina
shoot.
hit, I was like 12, 13. It was the first week of high school. Oh my God, you talking about like I was a late bloomer. I was a late bloomer, and everybody was like, "Give me all the attention." I'm like, "Oh yeah, man, this is about to be the best high school career ever, man." I got taller. My mom got me the nice Dickie pants that, because in New Orleans you can't wear tight clothes, you gotta wear baggy clothes. So she got me the baggy Dickies because they wear uniforms. First week ever, I loved it, and then Katrina happened. I never went back.
Oh, man.
I moved to Virginia, and I just stayed there, just like you.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's life. You gotta adapt and you gotta, create. So let's talk about that more. So you said you got experience, you got inspired in in Nevada. So what was it like DJing? And just talk about that. Like, did you already have the ear for it? Was it just like a passion and you just needed the tools and you just jump right into it?
Um,
What advice do you give to people that may be interested in being a DJ? You've been a DJ for almost what,
this
10
will be
plus?
13 years.
So yeah. So
Um,
yeah. Talk about that.
I guess I did always have the ear for it. Like I was the cassette tape mixtape kid, and I was like the CD flipper in schools. I was the one burning the CDs and selling them to everybody. Don't tell nobody else though. But
Oh,
it was always there. It was always there. So I think just life experiences directed me towards being a DJ. And at that point, the internship that I had out here in Las Vegas. Ironically, the internship I had is at the radio station I'm at right now. So I had an internship at 88.1 when I was 18, and that's how I started DJing. So I wound up coming back to 88.1 after my daughter was born. So I would I would say, like, I don't know. I would say don't force it. Like I didn't force it. But it was also at a time where it wasn't trendy to be a DJ. Like um I think people are trying to find themselves, people are trying to be creative, and people are trying to get to their definition of successful, and things like social media just kind of made it cool to be a DJ, and it kind of fits for a lot of people, but there is a lot of work involved, not only with getting the skill set right, but getting the business background right to DJ as a business. Like it's a completely different thing to DJ as a hobby versus DJing as a business. And I think you have to take your time. Like you have to research, you know, what type of DJ you want to be. Like there are radio DJs and club DJs and mixtape DJs, and now things are even going in a different direction with streaming. So like there's so many different avenues to being a DJ, and there's different ways to DJ depending on what type of DJ you are. Like there are different things you got to pay attention to and different things you have to know. So like I think a lot of people say they love music, but I think to be a DJ you have to love people, because you're not DJing for yourself. Like I hear it a lot. Like I hear it a lot, and it steered me away from wanting to teach, because not only I didn't want to waste time, but I didn't want to give anybody a false promise. Like you have to love people to successfully be a DJ, to have like that long term career span. It can't just be about yourself and your love of music. Um, so yeah, I would say, just like if you're thinking about being a DJ, definitely, learn the music, learn the culture, but learn the culture. Like learn about disco and learn about how hip hop started, and learn about turntables. Practice and find some turntables. Like actually get that experience under your belt, because like technology, made DJing a lot easier for people. And I think that's another reason why so many people are gravitating towards it. But like I said, you really have to know and understand and appreciate the culture, and that culture is on some turntables with the needles. So like you want to get the full experience of being a DJ, just to not only like have that on your like resume, but to get to appreciate it more. You're gonna appreciate it more hopping from turntables to CDJs to a controller. You know, you're gonna appreciate it so much more. And definitely find out if you actually love people, if you actually care to see people having a good time, if you actually care to create a vibe when you're making music that's for other people, not just for yourself.
Define a vibe. What does that mean?
An emotion. It's an emotion. I think the term vibes got real popular because of Drake and because of like some of these artists in the last couple of years, but it's an emotion. It's a really cool way of saying an emotion. Like there's vibes in here. It's an emotion in here. It's a good feeling in here. So
Define wave. What does that mean? That's the wave.
That's the wave. That's what's trendy. That's what's popular. That's what's cool, quote unquote cool.
Okay. All right, cool. So let's step away from DJing. Let's talk more about the business of like the music industry. So you say you got an internship, right? And I'm sure you was an amazing DJ, but I'm sure it wasn't just your DJing skills that, because you said you've been at that job forever, so obviously they like you, right? And one thing I think is a big misconception about schooling in general, right? And we know not all schools are perfect, but college in general. I don't know. Did you go to college?
I did. I went to UNLV. I went as a nursing student though, and I didn't finish because I obviously started DJing. So yeah.
Okay, cool. But I guess just like having the skills to walk in different rooms, right? Knowing how to do a handshake, knowing how to send an email without grammatical errors, knowing how to code switch, knowing how to, handle yourself as a professional, right? I see a lot of, because I work with you, I see that there is a confusion between, okay, if I'm gonna be a rapper or artist or entertainer, that's all I can be. When there's like other things you need to know. You need to know how to read, you need to know how, you need to have an attorney, right? So you need to have those contacts. You need to be able to network. You need to be able to do all these miscellaneous things that sound kind of boring. We hire people to do, right? So talk about like, how did you go up the ladder? How did you climb up the ladder? How did you go from being an intern to being this, world-renowned GOAT at DJing?
I had a lot of mentors, a lot. Like that the internship at 88.1, I had a mentor there. I worked for an internet radio station. After that, I had an intern there. I had a mentor there. I kind of felt out the city I was in and saw who was doing what I wanted to do, and I reached out to them for mentorship, and I had another mentor. Like I had multiple mentors for multiple stages in my career that helped me get the knowledge I needed. And it's something kind of like school, you go to a physics teacher for physics, you go to an English teacher for English. I had a mentor for every specific thing I needed to learn to get me through and to get my career stable.
But how are you so likable? You have to be likable, right? Because you can have a mentor and you could be an asshole, right? You could be like, I'm better. You can get big headed and you can outshine your master, quote unquote, right? The 48 laws of power, they talk about if you have like a mentor, make sure you listen more than you speak versus like always trying to just, because sometimes the mentor is going to know if you ready, right? And sometimes the mentor is going to be like, you're not ready. And sometimes you got to listen. So why are you so likable? Like what's some advice on people that you can give to people to maintain these amazing relationships that they can use to their benefit?
And I guess this is something I practice listening. Like just listen more. Like just be quiet. Like
Shut up. Clubhouse, they be talking so much. Be like, yo, you talking way too much, bro. Like I'm just like
Clubhouse is gonna create some monsters later. Like that's gonna be bad later, but it's popping now. just listen more. Like and you do need to stay humble. Like there's no, and I'm not gonna lie and say I didn't get big headed for a while. Like I did get big headed, and it was so horrible for my career. Like you have to stay humble. Like you have to. It's the ego, you got to get rid of it. Like you have to remain a humble person and always be willing to learn. There's always something to learn. And like DJing specifically, the business changes every couple of years. The music industry, it changes if not every year, it's different. So you have to always keep that in mind and be willing to learn. You have to know that, okay, this is cool now, but next year it's going to be something else. So you got to be ready. And if you don't have if you don't know how to get through to that information and to keep your business sustainable, you got to go find somebody to help you. Like it's a community that you have to be open to always.
I love what I'm hearing. I'm hearing a lot of just like things we need in this world right now, right? So you talked about listening, you talked about caring about people, right? You talked about seeking for help when you need it, right? Like that is everything I want my students to do, you know? Where do you think the issue goes? So you said that you had an ego. What did you wish you know? Excuse me. What did you wish you knew before you blew up? So you said you got big headed. I guess what do you wish you knew before that achievement or that success came? What do you wish you knew before?